This is Michelle, and you're listening to Words with Michelle, the podcast, a show where I sit down and have conversations with influencers on a range of topics, anything from natural hair, employment, discrimination, food, relationships, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you want to send me an email, hit me up at michelle@wordsmichelle.com. Welcome back to Words with Michelle, the podcast, where we celebrate incredible stories, bold ideas, and inspiring changemakers who are shaping our world. I'm your host, Michelle, and as always, I'm thrilled to bring you conversations that matter. If you want to catch up on all episodes, you can subscribe to my shows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other apps that you use to listen to your podcast. This podcast is available on my YouTube channel, and you can find it at Words with Michelle. If you like the show, don't forget to share the link with a friend. So today we're diving into the dynamic world of micro entrepreneurs and small businesses. These are the dreamers and doers who hustle to bring their visions to life. From your favorite neighborhood bakery to innovative startups redefining their industries. But what does it take to truly succeed as a small business owner? How do you navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and create sustainable growth? To help us unpack these questions, I'm joined by someone who knows the space inside and out, Dr. Karen M. Lowe. So Dr. Lowe is a seasoned business consultant with a proven track record of empowering entrepreneurs to achieve their goals. With years of experience in business coaching, she's a passionate advocate for the small business community and a firm believer in the transformative power of entrepreneurship. In our conversation, Dr. Lowe, or as Karen as I call her because she's my business coach, she will share her insights on the unique challenges and opportunities facing micro entrepreneurs, the critical role small businesses play in our economy, and practical advice for anyone looking to grow their business. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned business owner, this episode is packed with wisdom you won't want to miss. So get comfy and get ready to be inspired. I start the show asking Karen to introduce herself. Thanks for being on the show, Karen. Thank you for being on the show. Can you tell me a bit about yourself? Just introduce yourself and let the audience know who you are.
I started my journey in Jamaica, high school, university, and then I came to Canada. So I'm technically an immigrant. I came to Canada, did my MBA at Schulich School of Business, York University, and then I went on to do my doctorate in business administration. I'm a business consultant. I'm a publisher of a magazine. So I advise micro and small businesses setting goals, achieving those goals. So first of all, my book is From Dreamer to Creator. So I did write a book From Dreamer to Creator, and then the magazine kind of was a pick off from the Dreamer to Creator book. And the reason that theme is so important is because I am a dreamer. I've been dreaming about this all my life, and then I ended up creating a lot of the things that I dreamt about.
You're wearing many hats. How do you manage that? Because you are doing all three things and more. How do you do that?
So I'm actually an organizer. When it comes to my business, I'm very organized. I set schedules, I set timelines, and a part of it too is that I'm a researcher. Researching is something that I love. And so that is something that literally encapsulates every single thing that I'm doing. And so because I'm always researching one thing, there's always these thread that you have to unravel when you're researching. And I think as a result, it ties into so much. I have so much information. And so I'm able to overlap some of my roles because I learned it here or I learned it there and I just put it all together. But a big part of it for me is the organizing part. I have reminders of reminders in my phone. And so that's a big, and honestly, I love what I'm doing. I love it. It's fun for me. I honestly love working with a client from the beginning and seeing where it goes, seeing something happen, seeing the change. I just love it. It literally gets me up in the morning. I love it.
It's awesome. It's good to be pursuing your passion. So, first of all, define micro businesses and small business. What is a small business?
I love this question because most people call themselves small business, even though they're micro business. So in Canada,
What's the difference then? Tell me.
right, and I should point out my dissertation was on micro business, micro and small businesses. So for micro businesses in Canada, it is anything from 0 to 4 employees. So anything under 5 employees, including you, and it starts at 0 because you're counting yourself, right? So solo entrepreneurs, that's a micro business. Small business is up to, so micro business is a subset of small businesses, and small businesses is up to 99 employees.
Okay.
Exactly. So imagine you as a micro business with just one employee competing with somebody that has 50 employees. That's going to be hard because then you're getting less access to money than them, less access to resources, labor, that sort of thing than them. And so it tends to be challenging. So it's not impossible because you can do it, but it's going to be harder for you. Once you know certain things, you know that, okay, this is what I'm competing with, then you can mentally prepare yourself to compete in that space. But if you look at yourself as a small business, as a micro business, then you recognize that you're different from a small business, and so you have to operate differently. So here's the next data. There are more micro businesses in Canada than small businesses. So 55% of businesses in Canada are micro businesses. Large businesses is like 1%.
Wow.
Medium, yeah. So it's like this micro and small business is what makes up the economy. And it's really, really what drives the country's economy. But most of us, we don't realize how important we are.
Well, I guess I consider myself a micro
You
business owner.
are.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And you are very, very important to the GDP because you bring money in, you bring resources in. So you're very important then.
That's good to know. Um, so what are some problems we didn't really go into it. So what are some problems that some micro businesses and small business will face? Like competing.
So so first of all, micro business owners, they literally start a passion. So they're passionate about something, and so that's where they usually start.
Mhm.
So most micro business owners don't have the business knowledge for them to get to the next level. And so that is a huge struggle, lack of knowledge. Many, and because of that, more than 55%, and depend on the region, it varies, but more than 55% of micro businesses will fail.
Wow.
So I'm trying to remember the number, like say 900,000 will fail and
Mhm.
850,000 started. A lot of them, again, they started because of it's a passion. They started because they have to do something. So let's say you're a single person with a child, you can't get a job, you're gonna start a business, or you may not have certain type of requirements that is needed for the workforce. You're gonna go start your own business. Whatever is happening in Canada is a worldwide issue. So the rest of the world considers less than 9 employees micro business, but for the most part, everybody have the same issues. So knowledge is one of them.
Mhm.
Resources, access to resources is another. So one of my pet peeves with this government, and not just with this government, is just that they focus a lot on small businesses and not on micro businesses. So the requirements, for example, for a grant, so they'll have a grant geared toward quote unquote small businesses. But what you have to do as a micro business to get it, you won't qualify by virtue of the fact that you're a micro business and the size of your market is not as big as a small business that has 20 employees. And so that has specialization. And so resources, knowledge, just the support that you get from the government, I think it's really a stumbling block for many, many entrepreneurs. Another thing, some people will start working a job while they're working on the business. So both of them is not getting 100%. The business is not getting 100%, their job is not getting 100%. And that can be a really failing endeavor as a result. But the biggest, to be honest, is resources and knowledge are the two biggest issues.
I think the last thing you said was also true too. I mean, just being a solopreneur or a micro business owner, it is true. Like when you're juggling two, right? Nothing's getting 100%. And I know that for a fact. I mean, like I try to do my business, as much as I can, but then I also have a part-time to not fall back on, but to have some attention to, right? So that's a good point. It's hard to be.
To both. I'm glad you used term fallback. I interviewed investment. And he says they do not invest in people who have a job. So if you're trying to get money for your business, for your startup or whatever, and you have a second job, they're not investing in you because that's a fallback for them, and they need to know that you're all in.
Wow, that's
I
good.
thought that,
That's a good to know. I'm glad. I hope anyone listening to this listen to that last piece of information you just said because that that it actually reminds me of Shark Tank. Actually, it reminds me of I watch Shark Tank because I love Shark Tank. I'm a huge fan, and sometimes the sharks say that you know
Mhm.
some feel, not all, some feel that if you do have a full-time job or part-time job, you're not all in, right?
And it's true, I've seen it. But to be fair, that's not the biggest issue in the industry. But it is a factor in terms of a lot of success or failures.
I will say for the people that have the part-time job, sometimes it's just you just need to pay your bills. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. Like, I mean, you want to be 100% and all in, and there could be some fear in there and taking risks. I know that's all a factor in it, but for those that have really huge responsibilities like financial, that part-time job or something just could be just to have some money coming in. But I do understand the
Let,
fact.
let me qualify that because I mentor with nonprofit organizations, right? So, for example, one of the things I do, I actually set my hours in such a way that persons with full-time job can have access to me as well, right? And because I understand the importance of it, you need to do what you're doing. Not everybody has the luxury of getting up and just starting. And so so for some people, they're going to go through investors. For some of them, they're going to have to do the work on their own. And so I support them. I find ways to support them by making my hours longer so that they have access to me. So I'm not saying that you should, I'm just saying the mindset is the biggest problem. I shouldn't say biggest problem. The mindset can be a deterrent in terms of our success. And so you have to recognize that, okay, these are my limitations. How do I how do I navigate it? How do I navigate these challenges and be accepted? And honestly, mindset is such a huge, I can't say that enough. And you've heard me say it, the way
Oh
you think, it matters. And so it is going to be harder. You find that a lot of those people fail, but not all of them fail. And so how do you navigate it?
I can definitely attest to the mindset. Working with Karen, we did speak about this, and it's the way you think, the way you act, the way you react. Um, yeah, I definitely can agree with you on that. It's a battle, and when you have things in your head, or you're always in your head, and you really do need to switch. For me, I will say that it took time, but when it hits, it hits. So I do say thank you for that. So we talked about the challenges of small businesses and micro. So what are some of the solutions then? What can we do to what can they do to succeed?
So the number one thing I will tell somebody, and I'll start. What are your goals? Let's start with 6 months. What do you want to achieve in the next 6 months? And you'd be surprised as to how many people are not able to articulate it. But what are your goals? So find out what your goals are, the SMART goals. So you're talking about something that's specific, something that's measurable, something that's achievable, something that's relevant in the moment, relevant. And then the final one is time bound. So I talk about 6 months, a year. A lot of people will go, and this is old school teaching, 5 years and then 1 year. I say do 6 months and then you push it. So you can start off with a 5 year and then you come back, but have something for 6 months because a year is really long
Hmm.
for you to really, but in 6 months, it's easy for you to measure and to be able to say, okay, I'm close by or I'm this, that, and you can pivot when you need to pivot. So setting goals is the number one thing for me. Write down your goals. Write it down, not on your phone. Write it down where when you get up in the morning, it is right there, it is visible. If you're not thinking about your goal, you're probably not working towards it because you don't know what it is that you're doing. When you get up in the morning, what exactly is it that you're going to be doing today? What is your to-do list? You set your to-do list the night before so that you know what you're doing in the morning. And then you're going to be working towards it. Processes. So the first one is setting goals. Actually, it's your mindset. And I think your goals will help with your mindset, to be honest. So you're looking at it, you're seeing it. I get excited when I look to see what it is I want to achieve, and I'm like, ooh. So I visualize things. So even I usually do exercises too. If I go and do a speech or something, visualize, picture what it is. Like I said, I'm a dreamer. So I'm dreaming about that moment when I'm gonna succeed. I'm dreaming about, and I want you to do the same thing because then that pushes you, that motivates you when nobody's around to help you. So setting your goals, writing it down, get up every day, look at it, set processes that will help to. So there's some things in business that's really tedious and boring. And you have to get through those parts because those are the most important parts. And so set processes, for example, so if you're going to do marketing, if it's your financial breakdown. So you're going to set processes where you work on something for an hour per day or an hour per week or whatever. If it's every Monday that you're going to be working on your marketing, what are the processes? What are the steps that you need to take? Every single time you're working on this, you're going to do A, B, C. What are those processes? And it's going to look different for everybody. Sometimes it means that you're now learning a new skill. What does that look like? What is your training method like? So you have to be learning as well. YouTube, don't sleep on YouTube videos. Don't sleep on the podcast on Spotify. So those are areas that I believe that you can learn a lot. And you're constantly learning because a lot of people don't know. Even me who have studied business, there's so much that I constantly learn every single day. So you need to be learning. Those
Good.
are the ways to start you through your journey.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that are starting their own business. A lot of people are leaving the workforce to start their own business. So knowing this will help them on their way. I'm like one of the people.
And
Thanks.
I'm glad you say that because most people they're coming in with a skill. So having a skill in and of itself is awesome. That's a great starting point. But you need more than that to succeed in the business because it's different, right?
Yeah.
When you're working in corporate, you have a boss who is doing the business end of things. Now that you're doing it yourself, you actually now have to do the business end of yourself.
Yeah.
So
Just by working with you, I realize it's so funny the switch from working, going to the 9 to 5, as opposed to doing it on your own. It's true. You did have someone say, Michelle, this is what you do. And you go, this is your meeting. And now when you do it on your own, it's actually overwhelming. So if anyone listening, if you feel overwhelmed, it's natural, it's normal. Because when you have to think of everything and do everything, you wear so many different hats, it can become really overwhelming. And that is why I reach out to you because I knew that I needed some help. I couldn't do this on my own. So I had to reach out to get your expertise to help me. So hopefully this information helps anyone who wants to start a small business or micro business or actually has a business right now and is struggling, needs a little bit of help because we all need help. And that's number one. We all need help.
sorry, can I just jump on something that you just said?
Yeah, of course.
Overwhelmed. If you set processes, one of the things that you and I used to work through is you used to send me things that this is what we discussed today, so this is what you need to do. So two things. In order to help you with the feeling of being overwhelmed, set processes and schedule your stuff, schedule yourself, schedule this, break down every single thing that you need to do, and then do it one step at a time. And don't think about the other things that you're not working on. Work on this one thing, that's it. Set a timeline. So if it's going to take you half an hour, you set your alarm. When half an hour is up, you stop. That's it. And then you go on. And over time, you're going to develop it where you don't really need your timing, but
Mm.
you need to be able, because being overwhelmed is going to force you to stop. It's gonna actually make you feel like I can't do this anymore. So just stop, take a step back, done. Move on to something else. And you can break up the exciting with the boring. So when you're scheduling your stuff, okay, this is boring, let me do this. This is exciting, let me do this. And then you go back to some. But again, you have to be disciplined to stop. Then you need to stop.
And I will let you guys know that's something that Karen and I spoke about throughout working with each other. I was very, I realized I wasn't as disciplined as I thought I was. I did learn a lot about myself while working with Karen, things I have to work on. I mean, things that I thought I was good at, or I thought I was proficient at, and I wasn't really. I guess you have to really take a look at yourself and be honest. And I fought with Karen. I fought with Karen. Y'all know I did because I spoke about it on Instagram. So I did fight with Karen, but when it comes down to it, Karen was not 100% right all the time.
And
but
I'll agree to that. I'm not always right. I like
but
to believe I'm very rarely right.
but you was right most of the time, and you did push me. You got me. The one thing that I can say, working with Karen and just being a micro business person, business owner, like coming out of your comfort zone, taking a risk. And that is not something that's easy for me to do. It's so not easy, but the reward is so sweet when you do it. Like, I do things for the past 6, 7 months that have scared me and did not want to do, and I fought you so hard. And I did say that in my book. It is actually in there's a section where I say, Karen told me to do this, didn't want to do it, fodder, fodder, fodder. And then in the end I did it and it worked out. So so please listen to what Karen has to say, um, and see how it can work for you. Really and truly think of what the goal is and just work towards that. And these things do fall in place. I am literally an example of working with Karen and knowing that you have to believe in yourself too, though. And then even if you don't believe yourself, just do it anyways, because sometimes you definitely learn, but even if you fail, that's still your lesson, and you just pivot. So that's just my little comment of just what Karen had to say. Karen shared another piece of advice for business owners. Take a listen.
Celebrate yourself.
Oh my God.
Celebrate yourself. Celebrate the tiny wins. So the fact that you got up and you started working on something that you haven't done, that you've been putting off, that's something to celebrate. It might sound simple, but you did it. You started a process. So celebrate the small wins, because those celebrations is what's going to encourage you to do the next task, to do the next thing, to keep at it, to keep pushing. So celebrating yourself, celebrating the small wins is underrated. That's the word I'm looking for. People don't do it enough.
Yeah, I guess it is the small wins. I guess you look at it and you don't want to, because I tend to, when I get the small wins, I do get excited. I'm not gonna lie. And sometimes I don't even realize it's a win. Like sometimes you don't realize something happened in your day or someone said something or did something, and there it is a small win. And you just kind of brush over it. But I actually did a post on Instagram because I didn't realize something. I actually wrote something. So what Karen said at the beginning, write something down. I actually wrote something down and it actually happened about a month ago. And I freaked out because I'm like, holy crap, I wrote this. I actually wrote this and it came to light. So writing it down, envisioning it or speaking about it, does help because it's in your head now. It's in your head. So sat down and I'm like, holy crap. It was literally a couple weeks after the fact that I realized that it happened. But just to keep this in mind to everyone, nothing happens overnight, eh? Nothing happens overnight. The amount of work you got to put into everything you do um, is crazy, but it's the work that you'll enjoy the work. Because another thing I want to speak about is that I remember working with Karen in the summertime and I was stressed working on the book and the podcast. I was completely stressed. But the funny thing about this is I actually missed that. I think about it now and I believe it or not, I missed that. I missed the stress. I missed working towards that goal. It sounds funny, but I do. Yeah, I miss it. I
So
did
it
not.
means that you know need to up your goals so that you have something else big to work towards.
Yes, that is right. So I want to know how can a business level up? Like how can they level up their business? Say a business is struggling to find their way and they want to just go from 0 to 100. What steps can they do? Steps can they take to get there?
Patience is one of them. Patience, 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 patience. And I feel like it's the same thing as starting from from the bottom. I think it's the same. And it's the reason I say that is because I've worked with both set of people who recently worked with somebody who they had other consultants before me, and they said they kept going back and forth. Oh, I tried that already. I tried that, it didn't work. One of the problems I've found, and I'm gonna answer this question in two parts. I use the word patience. One of the problems I've seen, and I should say issues, is that people, business owners, founders, they're working on something and they don't stick it out long enough. They don't track their progress,
Mm.
and they're not in it long enough to even track, much less to figure out what's working. So first of all, why did it not work? Go back to exactly what it is that you did Did you do everything that you're supposed to do? Okay, what did you not do that you should have done? So you have to track what it is that you're doing. Even when something is successful, you need to go back to find out what worked, what did not work. I tutor. That's one of my side gigs. And one of the things I always ask at the end of my sessions, what worked, what did not work? Because what is it that I need to change to do better next time? Even if something is working, can I do better? Right? So patience and tracking what it is that you're doing. And this might sound weird, but literally work with people who have been in business for a while. And when I ask them what are their business goals, they cannot articulate that. And if you cannot articulate it, it is a problem. Processes, you'll be so surprised as to how processes saves you a lot of time. And when I talk about processes, if you're actually onboarding clients, what are the steps that it takes to onboard your client, to sign them up? From they call you, literally have a list of what to do. So if somebody's even going to help you, give the person that list. And it's so easy because it's no, you're doing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So having processes, same thing for your financing, same thing for your marketing. Marketing is huge. Who is your target market? Really, really be able to recognize and know who your target audience is, and then you focus on them. Sometimes you need to change your target audience. So you talk about leveling up. Is it working with who it is that you're doing? And are you communicating with them properly? What's the messaging? Who are they? Where do you find them? Who do you talk to them? So look at your target audience, look at your communication method, your messaging, and your medium. Social media, every single one of the pages is a different age group, different demographic, different everything. Figure out who they are. And a lot of it overlaps, but they're not the same. So figure out who is who. And so when I just started the magazine, I thought it would be LinkedIn that would be my top seller in terms of where I found whatever. I
Yeah.
was wrong. It
Really?
wasn't. I got most of my people from Instagram. Luckily, I was tracking, right? I
Yeah.
didn't put all my eggs in one basket and decide that this is what it is. I literally tried everything and then I found that this worked. And once I realized this was working, I just went for it. I still did everything else, but in smaller quantities than the one that I realized was my bread and butter. So your target market, how you actually approach them, the messaging, where to find them. It's so, so important. Don't make assumptions. Do your own research. Research, like I can't say this enough, research, really, really research to figure out and to understand your market. And don't, people, you're going to get advice from everybody. So I'm blessed to work with different industries. So I've been able to research different industries to see and to recognize that it's different. It's not cookie cutter. So if you're in the food industry, I've worked in the food industry, I've worked in photography. There are similarities. The core is similar, but then there's so many differences. And so recognizing, understanding your industry, your target audience, ooh, the competition. You get so much information from the competition. We don't take advantage of that enough. So if you're in business right now, your competition is thriving and you're not, why? Go and study them, research them to figure out why they're working and you're not. Listen, we're not reinventing anything. We're taking what exists and making it work for us. And so your competition is important. Looking outside of your industry for new ideas is how you innovate. I can't say that enough. Um, but yeah, processes, patience, and just stick to it. Make a list, what I need to do, and stick to it.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to do a part two. We're definitely gonna do a part two of it. No, I think just because well it's interesting and I know a lot of people are venturing into doing their own business. They're starting their own business. This is a hot topic. It's not just a hot topic. It's just the way that most of the people I speak to are doing their own thing. They don't want to do the 9 to 5 or they are tired of it. So I would love to do a part two. We'll think about what that is afterwards. But yeah, this is interesting. I mean, for me, I've worked in the corporate world I had a working life. I still have little toes in it still because I have my part-time, but it's not exactly what I want to do on a full-time basis. So, and I know a lot of people are like that. So we'll definitely do a part two to see what else, the next stage of being a micro business owner, a small business owner is. Um, so I want to ask, is there any projects that you're working on? Is there anything you wanted to let us know that you'll be working on?
I always want to work on something new. I so honestly, my passion, my love is to see the success of micro entrepreneurs. And I use the term micro entrepreneurs a lot. Most people don't know that term, but I use it and I'm going. My dissertation had the word micro entrepreneur. That's what I did a lot of work. And I love it. I love to see micro entrepreneurs succeed. I want to see them succeed. One of the places I work with right now, two organizations, and I'm actually working on partnering with more nonprofit organizations within the Black community. Liftoff is one of them, and Futurepreneur. Futurepreneur is limited because of age. So basically, what I do, you get my mentorship services through them. So you basically have to become a part of that organization, and that you get my mentorship services through them. But of course, I have my website, Epigram Consulting Services. You can always go there and get access to me. And again, it doesn't matter what your budget is. I feel like I have created an opportunity for everybody to get the help. And then there's a magazine. The magazine is more of a self-help getting from other persons. And again, I say this, I position myself with the different things because I want to help as many people as I can. And I know mentally people think money is a hindrance. It's not. It should never be a hindrance to what it is that you want to achieve in life. It was never one for me. I did not grow up rich. I grew up poor. I had to self-fund a whole bunch of stuff, but it never ever stopped me. I've never been taught that anything can be a stumbling block. Like I was raised to do whatever it is that you want to do. I've always had the support, and I recognize my sister used to say, Karen, not everybody's like I have the type of relationship that we have. Just recognize it and move on. And so I try to be that person that a lot of people don't have because I've been blessed to have it. Whatever it is that you want to do, I believe that you can do it. And Michelle will tell you, she'll say, I can't, or she'll tell you about the negative things that I said to her. Stop it. Like one of the things that I try to work with, listen, anybody who's ever worked with me, they will tell you the negative stuff is not something that I will accept ever. You can. It doesn't matter what your roadblocks. It doesn't matter. If you have 5 kids and minimum wage, I promise you, you can do it. It doesn't matter what your challenges are. It's actually quite possible to get it done. So, and that is my mission in life.
Well, I love your mission. Your mission has
As
helped me and
as
help
possible.
others. So I need to thank you. I mean I continue to thank you, but I want to thank you for making me do the things that I've done or helped me do the things that I've done. You know, working with Karen. She helped me with the podcast, helped me with the book. We're on Word on the Street together. Like it was amazing. So I thank you for helping me on this crazy journey, on this amazing journey. I shouldn't say crazy, crazy good. It's so crazy good.
I've said this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. I'm actually quite proud of you. And I know sometimes when you didn't see it, I'm like, listen, you got to recognize what you have done. It's been a while. Like you've been on this journey, kind of not moving, and then you got up one day and said, listen, I need to go further. I need to do more. You recognized and you stepped out of yourself. You like honestly, hats off to you. Hats off to you. And you could have walked away anytime in the middle of it. You didn't. Hats off to you. Hats off to you.
It was in April and May, and that I just was tired of being stagnant, and it was so stagnant, and just like I was bored and sad, depressed. And I tell people this whenever you meet me and I talk about the book or the podcast, I will say I was tired of just being in that space and just not doing anything. It was literally not doing anything, and I thought I feel I have skills. I'm creative. I have a lot of work and I needed the push and I actually needed help. And when you mentioned help, I did need it because I didn't feel like I could do it on my own. I didn't know how. I was really was just didn't know. It was unknown territory. So that's why I thought I need you. And that's why I met up with you, and it's been a crazy ride, been a great ride, you know. I was pushed to limits. Um, I was pushed to doing things that so not, and I don't want to just say comfort zone, I just didn't want to do. It's just comfort zone I just did not want to do. And you allowed me to do it, or I allowed myself to do it. And I'm
You take
happy
the credit.
about that. It's just, it's good to feel good about what I've done, and I still have a lot more to do because it's like 'cause there's a lot more. Well, okay, if we want to get a hold of you, how can we get a hold of you?
So website, Epigram Consulting Services.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on everything. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and email us info@epigramconsulting.com. But again, all our info is actually on the website itself. So that's always the easiest place to go.
On that note, I need to thank Dr. Karen M. Lowe for being on the show and sharing her wisdom with us. I got to hear this wisdom from since April to now, so now y'all get to hear all the things we can do to be better, to do better, and achieve our goals and feel better about ourselves. Because I'm not gonna lie, from how I felt in April, how I feel now is night and day. I mean, I do have my moments when I feel in kind of, we all have our down moments, but looking back and knowing what I've done, and I only want to do more, I really do need to thank you. So thank you so much for your expertise, your knowledge, your time. I'm eternally grateful.
Thank you.
Like the show? Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to share the link with a friend. Thanks. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to provide a comment or feedback, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at michelle@wordswithmichelle.com. You can also email me if you're interested in sponsoring an episode. Thanks again for listening to the show, and until next time, bye.